Readings today focus on this image of the storm. The storm seems to be a return to the chaos that was before God created the earth. Remember the story of the creation in Genesis. It says that it started as this formless waste with all of this sort of chaos all over the place, kind of like a continual storm. And then God, over those 6 days, begins to bring order to that chaos. We heard this also in the reading from Job today, where out of the storm, out of the whirlwind, God answers Job's deep question of, what is going on? Why are you doing this to me? And God more or less reminds Job of his true size. Job is small, and it is impossible for him to understand God's ways. God asks him today, were you the one that told the sea, you have to stop here and you're not going to go any further, etc., etc.? He has a long list of all these things. He's like, tell me, since you are so wise, where were you, or what did you do to cause this and that? And of course, the answer again and again is, this is much bigger than me, and God, I have to simply bow to your ways that are mysterious. In our psalm today, Psalm 107, it speaks of the people at sea crying out to God, and he calms the storm. And this is what Jesus does in the gospel. His disciples certainly knew these stories. They knew the creation story. They knew the questions of Job. They knew that God's answer to Job. They knew Psalm 107. And so that's why this is so shocking to them. And they ask this question at the end of this gospel, who is this? I thought this was a great teacher, but Jesus is forcing them to realize that he's more than just a nice guy or someone with good eloquence, a good homilist, for example. He's not just that, right? Jesus is something different. And he's forcing them in time to come to faith. Do you not yet have faith, he says. He wants them to slowly see, as they really slowly see in Mark's gospel, that he is God, come in the flesh. All throughout the gospel of Mark, they doubt again and again, and they don't understand. Even when it seems like they do understand, they kind of don't get it. The disciples are just constantly making messes of themselves, and Jesus gets frustrated with them many times. Because he's trying to draw them to this ultimate question of like, guys, I want you to understand me. I want you to know who I am. But I'm not going to force this on you. Same thing for us in the mystery of our own lives, especially in the pain when we have serious questions. God is there, and he wants us to see him, but he's never going to force himself on us. It's an invitation to realize who Jesus is. Peter, for example, in Mark chapter 8, says, Jesus, you are the Christ, the Son of God. And so he gets something right, finally. But then, two verses later, he's rebuking Jesus, telling him there's no way that he's supposed to be crucified and killed and rejected and rise from the dead. He's like, that can't happen. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So Jesus says, get behind me, Satan, right? So even when they get it, they don't get it. It's not until the resurrection that finally they understand who Christ is and what it means for their own lives. That mystery of the resurrection, that fact changed everything else. It made all of it make sense, finally, for the disciples. My own life lately has been a bit of a whirlwind, kind of like Job, kind of a storm like the disciples are on. So I think it was a little over 2 months ago where Bishop Rhodes calls me into a meeting with him, and I'm expecting that this meeting is going to be about myself getting one of the new priests to be ordained. One of these new 7 men that were just ordained priests is going to be assigned to me at St. Therese Little Flower Parish in South Bend, and we're going to be this dynamic duo. It's going to be awesome. All kinds of great things are going to happen. That's what I'm expecting in this meeting. And I sit down with Bishop, and he begins, I am transferring you, and then it just went wah, 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 wah. I couldn't really hear what was happening after that. No, not really. But I was totally shocked, right? I mean, I did not see that coming. It was a surprise. And since then, it's been a lot of kind of unpacking all of the things that means. That means having to have all kinds of new relationships with all the people that I work with. Of course, you going to a new parish means dealing with a whole new set of families in the parish, a lot larger parish for me here at this parish, having a school, which I didn't have, and what are some of the other things? Oh, well, you have to actually physically pack up and move, so that is challenging. Saying goodbye to the relationships and families that I have known for 10 years or so up in South Bend area. So lots of things that have made it quite a storm, quite a whirlwind for me. And it's been mysterious as well to sort of figure out what God is doing. Just as Job could never understand all of God's plans and his providence, just as the disciples didn't really know what Jesus was about, they just knew they wanted to be with him. They knew that they were with the right person. So also, it's been, for me, a walk of faith, allowing God to slowly open up and unfold what he plans for me and for this parish. We must not doubt that, indeed, the Lord Jesus, just like God our Father, cares for us. We should never have that question, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" That is not the way we work as Christians. Perhaps you yourselves are going through some kind of storm right now as well. You have some kind of trial, suffering, or calamity, or just things that you don't understand what God is doing, what's happening. The one thing that you must never forget is that God does have a plan and that he does not abandon his children, just like any good father would do. And as we celebrate Father's Day today, I want to reflect a little bit about what true fatherhood really is. There's a writer who writes a lot about fatherhood named Jim Stenson. I heard about him in a talk I listened to about Catholic fatherhood. And this speaker was saying some quotes from Jim Stenson, that I think are very, very good reminders for us of why the fatherly role is so important. More or less, he was saying, and John Paul II says the same, that children need, of course, a good mother, but also a good father. Every child needs both of these. I don't know where I would be today. I probably wouldn't be standing right here if I didn't have my mom and my dad, if I didn't have both of them. We need the feminine genius in our mothers, but we also need the masculine genius in our fathers. So children, especially sons, but all children, need a dad who is not just another mom, a dad who is not just a good buddy, kind of like trying to be friends with his kids. They need a dad who is not absent to them, not just kind of a zombie at home, but they need someone who really does represent God the Father. And so we should support all fathers, especially biological fathers, to really treat their children the way that God treats all of us. God is our Father, and how does he treat us? He holds us to high standards. He gives us loving protection. He has great hopes for our future. He speaks with affection and understanding to us. He is ready to forgive, and his love doesn't fail. He never stops loving us. This is what fatherhood needs to be. And this is who God our Father truly is. And because we can have confidence in this, we ourselves do not need to be afraid in the storms of our lives.